First segment without him. Nope.
Nope.
Oh, let's see.
There he is.
Right now. Welcome to Welcome to Newhouse Afternoon with Alex Pohl and Nico Horning on Zoom. And we met 2 weeks ago, so this is our first show back. And March Madness coming up. Syracuse basketball ended with a big loss to SMU in the second round of the ACC tournament. I'm kind of surprised that we even made it to the second round, but disappointing season all around. Alex, what are you saying? What are you looking at looking forward?
Yeah, definitely a disappointing season for this team. I know they started off a bit rocky, but I think we had a very high expectations of them, especially with like Eddie Lampkin coming in. JJ Starling was still here. We have a lot of strong talent, but hoping that they'd build their chemistry throughout the season. We just never saw that ended up happening. So a bit disappointing, but honestly, again, surprised that we even won that first game of the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, good to see a win, but all around, from really start to finish, we talked about it a lot on this show. Just another season at Syracuse basketball's fifth year in a row not making the tournament, and for a program like Q's, it's not okay. But we have Red Autry staying with us for one more year, or hopefully more than that, after our athletic director Wildhack announced that last week. But Nico, if you can hear us, we can see your beautiful face right now. Awesome. What do you got?
I got you guys. Well, I'll agree with Alex. I mean, it was obviously a very tough season overall for Syracuse hoops. I mean, you had just right off the bat, there was never a groove that this team was in, right? You had the first couple of games with Youngstown State going into double overtime. You had a very tough game against Lemoyne. I mean, this team never showed a groove early on in the season, like even past teams would, even if they didn't end up playing that well in the conference. This team was never had a stability moment throughout the season, so that was very tough. But they hung through it, and they had a couple of good wins towards the end of the year that I think people will take away from the year. And but overall, you got to move on. You got to look towards next year. And now that you just brought up, Evan, that Coach Autry's back, and you know that going forward, you got to adjust accordingly. And you have a couple of newcomers coming in. I think a lot of people are really excited about that. And it should be an interesting season next year. I have no expectations for this team next year. I think they're going to be more talented. But again, every other team is going to be more talented somewhat. So you can't always bank on your new guys stepping up. And all of a sudden, this team's going to be back to what it was several years ago. I'm not expecting that. But the fact that you do have Autry for another year and you're not getting another coach says something that Wildhack trusts him, and you're gonna ride the ship, and you're gonna see what happens, and then go from there.
Yeah, and like you said, keeping expectations low, to zero expectations at all, that is what we have to do as Syracuse supporters. But I mean, there is reason to be hopeful. Keon Anthony, obviously Carmelo's son, coming in. Forward Sadiq White, another 4-star. The Australian Luke Fennell, 4-star, coming in. So we're getting the star power that we need to get us to that next level. But what we've seen over these past 5 years, really, we can't put any real stock into this team until they can prove it.
Yeah, I completely agree. But at the same time, we shouldn't have to lower our expectations for these teams. Be like, oh, they haven't made it in a while, so it's going to take time. Yeah, it's going to take time, but you're in the ACC, which is a tough conference as is. And to not have made the tournament now for 5 years, that shouldn't be happening. We have the talent, but there's just no chemistry on this team. So, I mean, what do you think needs to change within this program in order to get us at least a tournament, to have a better record than we had this year, at least? Because finishing off the year 14-19, that's, I feel like, unacceptable for this program, especially for being such a high being Syracuse men's basketball. Yeah, they're not where they were how many years ago. They're not going to be, winning a national championship, but at least making it there, at least having some sort of a run, or having ending the season at least more on the positive side and having more wins than losses, but especially in the conference being only 7-13, like I feel like we got to have higher expectations for them in a certain way and hold them to a higher standard.
That's true. You asked, what do I think needs to change? Well, it's not star power. It's not talent. We have that, and we're going to have that next year. I think it really comes down to the locker room, the culture on the court, attacking every possession, taking no plays off, attacking every possession with the desperation of a drowning man. And we've seen all too often this season just dudes taking plays off and being kind of lazy on defense, and just get a good team chemistry, team play, maybe some better defensive schemes, switching it up. A lot needs to change, obviously. Nico, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Evan here because there were some culture problems with this team, and I think it starts at the top. Not necessarily with Wild Hack, you're not going that far up, but I don't know. I didn't think Autry had this team bought in all the way through the season, and even though maybe this team knew that they weren't going to be all that midway through the year or even earlier, you still got to fight. You still got to play some basketball and play with each other. There were certain individuals on this team that I didn't think were exactly bought in all the time during the season, and it cost them some games, and that's frustrating. So you have the talent, you're going to have the talent, but going forward, everyone's got to be bought into the same thing regardless of what your record is, and that's the main issue for me right now. So Evan, I agree with everything you're saying. This team's going to have talent. They had talent this year. They didn't have a ton of talent, maybe that some other ACC teams did, but they had enough. And then, next year they're going to have more talent. So that's not going to be particularly the issue. The issue is going to be, can this team play together? Can their culture come together? And can they perform off the court as well that translates on the court with chemistry and try and get some wins?
I know. Can we be bought in? I like to stay on the positive side. I think with his back against the wall, Autry is going to pull some strings, and Keon coming in. A lot to be excited about for Syracuse basketball. Let's keep it going. We got March Madness starting tomorrow. Very exciting. Unfortunately, Syracuse will not be in it, but a lot to talk about. Maybe some predictions. Alex, Nico, when we come back after break. And, stay with us for Newhouse Afternoon. I'm Evan Fay, Alex Pohl, Nico Horning. Beautiful face over Zoom. And we'll be back.
All good.
All good, all good. No, I'm glad we got him. Let's go, Nico.
What's up?
Doing good,
Happy
doing
Monday.
good.
Happy Monday.
Where's
I'm
your
wearing a little bit
where's your
green.
whereabouts?
It counts. So
Nice. Yeah, we got you.
I'm in Arizona. I'll be taking a red eye tonight, and then I'll be back tomorrow.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Sounds like
What you doing out there?
I got some family out here, so finishing that up. Went to a couple spring training games or events over the weekend. So a few things going on, mostly family related.
Heck yeah. We got Alex. She just got back like 2 hours ago from across the globe. So
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely
you
fighting
tired,
that
Alex?
jet lag right now. A little bit.
Yeah.
Got back yesterday and then flew into Syracuse this morning. But that time
Nice.
difference it's tough.
Something.
13-hour time difference. It's,
Yeah.
for me it would be Tuesday already. So
I know. What'd you do out there?
spent time with the family.
Yeah.
Traveled, just sightseeing. Did some
Good food.
meditation,
Oh.
some sushi making. It
Some
was-
temples.
Yeah,
Did
saw some temples,
Nice.
Shinto shrines.
Wow. Seeing you like cool samurai swords or something?
No.
No.
Saw sumo wrestling though. It's pretty cool.
Sumo wrestling? Wow.
Yeah. Went to a sumo tournament. So
Wow.
definitely,
Wow. That's an experience.
That's got to be something.
it was.
Wow.
It was, yeah. It definitely took me back for a second. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, but it's so different than I expected. because when they fight, the sumo.
Oh, the sumo.
Oh yeah, Japan too. Japan, honestly, when we got to Tokyo, I kind of just felt like I was in like New York City. It's just like a giant city, just extremely clean. But sumo, they basically get up there, they do like a little stretch thing, and then they fight for like, I'm not joking, like literally could be like up to like 3 or 4 seconds until like one of the guys just falls down onto the ground, and then it's over, and that's it. And then the other 2 people get up, and then they do the exact same thing over and over again. So I didn't realize it wasn't like, like wrestling, for instance, like multiple rounds and points and this and that. Like they literally just are squatted down, they get up, and then one of them might just move out of the way, and this guy just fell, and they're like, oh, it's over.
Wow. I wonder how
lasted 10 seconds.
How the play-by-play for sumo is.
Gosh,
must be pretty fun.
There wouldn't even be anything to say, honestly. But how's spring training going over there?
Good. Saturday was the Giants and Mariners with the fam, and then yesterday I didn't go to a game yesterday, but I was at the D-backs and Rockies facility in the morning, so walked around and watched a bunch of practice stuff and cage work and all that. So a little behind the scenes work. Always fun to tune in, try and pick up something. So, yeah.
And where were you? You were in what, like Philly, and then?
Oh yeah, I was in Camden, New Jersey, Philly.
How was that?
It was good. Nice. A little service trip. It was a lot of fun.
I know Jake was on that with you.
Oh, you know Jake. Yeah, Jake's the man.
Oh.
Yeah, when we coming up? Talk some March Madness.
Oh yeah.
Predictions, Cinderellas.
It's going to be interesting. You guys will hear why in about 30 seconds.
Yeah. Let's do it.
ESPN Syracuse sports talk shows on QSportsTalk.com. Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Welcome back to Newhouse Afternoon. I'm Evan Fay with Alex Pohl, Nico Horning over Zoom, and we just talked Syracuse basketball and how their season is over. But now we got March Madness starting tomorrow. Nico, what are you most looking forward to?
Hey, so funny enough, I've been waiting until this very moment to open the bracket. I have not looked at the bracket until right now. So I've done this because I'm like, you know what? You can look at it all night. You can look at it all afternoon on Sunday, and you can analyze it all you want for the week leading up to the first games. And I'm like, you know what? We're gonna wait until the show to open this thing up. So I'm getting a first glance at it right now. I did look at the first 4 games yesterday, but outside of that, I did not look at the bracket. So I'm scrolling through this thing right now. So Evan, why don't you lead us off with the region, and we can go from there, and I'll kind of give my reactions, and we can all give our thoughts here.
Lead us off the region. Why don't we go with which one is Auburn in? What's that region called?
Yeah, the South.
We got that for South.
Yeah,
South.
All right, let's start with South. What are we thinking?
All right.
What are we thinking?
Wow.
Nico? I know, I'm looking, so actually, I'm in like a similar boat here. I decided that I wasn't going to look at it until today as well. So I didn't open it until we were just now on our little break when we were talking about our trips. I decided to open it up.
First off, I got to say, this is Auburn. Auburn's got a good shot this year. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about teams that can win it all. Auburn has a great path. So I'll leave it there for the first game. We'll go game by game, sort of. Louisville, Creighton.
All right.
Always close.
I like Creighton.
I like Creighton
too.
Creighton. They're always an
such
underdog.
Such good basketball. Yeah, always underdog. They're always shooting up a storm, especially in the tournament. They're shooting like,
Yep.
I think they're always shooting like 40, 50% from three, and I like them this year. They had like a 10-loss year this year. Not as good as they were in previous years, but I always love Creighton in my bracket.
Yeah, I would agree.
Who we got next?
UC San Diego. This is going to be a California pick for me, over Michigan. But again, watch their game. Watch their championship game. That would have been Saturday night.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
They had a good win. A&M, and you're looking at SDSU or UN. By the way, very interesting. I mean, I know North Carolina, not the best season for them, and this can kind of go back to Syracuse. But you talk about, you talk about for Syracuse not having a great year, and out of all years, it's got to come this year because Virginia, not as good as usual. North Carolina, not as good as usual.
Crazy.
The ACC in entirety, not as good as usual.
The potential was there. It's
right.
sad.
So, Syracuse couldn't take advantage of that. But it's so interesting to see North Carolina not having a definitive top 5, top 6 spot at all.
I know. They got the play-in versus San Diego State tomorrow night for just to play in to be.
Just to play in order to go against.
Yeah, they'll play Ole Miss, which Ole Miss will probably beat, honestly, whichever team wins, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Ole Miss is going to take that win over no matter which team it is.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be UNC. They're just not been themselves this year.
I feel like that's the way it's been for so many teams.
So many
year.
teams. So many teams. And we see teams like, we'll get to them, but St. John's winning the Big East.
Yep.
I love them.
Well, that's why when you guys were saying that you're taking Creighton over Louisville, I don't know about that.
No?
Because, I mean, especially the way that Creighton played against St. John's in that final game. Honestly, it wasn't even about the way that they played. It was more the way St. John's was able to take over that game. But Creighton's able to come out pretty strong, and they have obviously a great program and a solid team, but I just don't see them being able to hold up an entire game, and I think that Louisville will be able to. But that's just me.
We shall see. It's one of those. Creighton's a 9 seed, Louisville's an 8 seed, so those are always a toss-up. But what do we think? Yale over A&M, little Ivy League.
I gotta go A&M on this one. I'm sorry, Evan. I know you're big on
100%.
Oh yeah, big Ivy League guy. Yeah.
Definitely gonna have to take A&M on that one.
Yep. Yeah. We said UNC, Iowa State, Marquette, New Mexico. Always, I swear they always have that 7-10 game, or 11 seed. But New Mexico right there with Marquette, and then again Michigan State, another team. They could have a really good win, or they could. Also one of those teams that I could see getting out early just because you never know when they can kind of derail a little bit. But we'll see. Overall, though, with the South region, I mean, I think Auburn takes it all away.
I see Auburn taking, 100%.
Yeah.
Can't bet against them. I mean, they've been unbelievable. 3 losses, 31-3.
They've played phenomenal all season.
The depth that they have it's unbelievable. But
and then looking at what teams are going to have to end up going against, I don't see Auburn having a problem winning the South 100%.
Yeah, Louisville, Creighton, Michigan.
No one's going to be able to take on Auburn. I think maybe they're going to have a close game.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, there are always upsets.
But I just don't see an upset happening against Auburn of all teams in this tournament.
Yeah, well, all right, so we got Auburn coming out of the South, so we move down to the West. Florida is my favorite. I think I'm going to choose them. I've not chosen my bracket yet, but I will choose Florida to win. We saw them destroy Auburn in the regular season by it was over a 10-point win. And Florida, I love Florida. That's the team I'm rolling with. Hard to bet against them. What do we think going down that list in the West?
I wouldn't be surprised if Florida won the West. I'm kind of holding on a little bit of, I don't know how realistic it is, but for St. John's to win the West, I think they've done a phenomenal job all season, though they also haven't played against, the same teams Florida has, obviously, in season. They're in different conference. Not to say it's not as difficult of a conference, but St. John's has done such a great job all season. One thing that does concern me with their team, though, is that their team we've seen come back in games. Especially, like I said, in that Creighton game, they completely blew them out by the end, but they were down at one point. And I think that's something that they in some ways got away with all season, is being down and able to come back and blow out these teams towards the end. But that's something I don't think it's not going to work for them that well in this tournament, seeing all the other teams that they're going to have to then play against. I mean, they have Omaha first, which I think they'll be fine with, but when they play against either, Kansas or Arkansas, then potentially Texas Tech moving on after that, I think that they're going to need to figure out how to come out stronger right from the start and not build momentum throughout the game, because if they dig themselves too deep of a hole at the beginning, I don't see themselves getting out of it against some of these better teams.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could see a St. John's, Florida, Western region, where that'd be Elite Eight. That would be unbelievable. I mean, they both won. Florida just beat Tennessee, was it last night, 2 nights ago, in the SEC tournament. I don't know, to me, it feels like an SEC year in basketball.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, usually the ACC is way better than them, but that's just not the case. Like we said, all these teams in the ACC not playing like themselves. SEC's loaded.
I'm gonna go with. I'm not the biggest Florida guy. I think Duke and I think Auburn. I don't know. I'm just not a Gator. I'm not a Gator. I'll leave it at that. So, with that being said, I do think St. John's will make it, like you just said, Evan. I think Texas Tech is one of the best sleepers in this tournament, and especially in this bracket, because
third seed.
If for whatever reason St. John's bows out, or if Texas Tech and St. John's end up meeting each other pretty deep into the tournament, I think they're one of those teams that they can deserve a higher seed for sure than a 3. They could be a 2 team. So I think I have high hopes for Texas Tech. I think they might end up playing St. John's later on. And, Florida could be an early exit, or not an early exit, but a middle exit. I think they'll end up going very far, obviously, projected to do so.
Yeah.
But I'm not picking Florida to win at all. Evan, I know you had Florida winning this whole thing.
Fair enough. I mean, Texas Tech, they have one of the best defenses in the league. We usually see those teams make it far in the tournament. So I say
quick.
Florida. Nico says Texas.
Yeah, I'm just gonna.
Alex.
So do you see Texas winning the West?
Ooh. Well, take a look at
3 seed. I mean,
oh wait, we're in the West.
we'll see.
We are in the West.
Thank you. Are you talking about Texas Tech winning the West?
Yeah, Texas Tech winning the West.
I could 100% see that happening. I mean, again, it's going to come down to the defense, and if Florida can get hot, we always talk about these defense-minded teams, and if some other team gets hot, Gonzaga, even the last couple of years, 2, 3, 4 years ago, people thought that I forget who they were playing, but some really good defensive teams, and Gonzaga just shot the lights out, and that was that. It didn't matter about the defense. So that scenario could be playing an effect here with Texas Tech. Again, having another team outshoot them, basically. So we'll see if that happens. If I'm going to put a prediction out there, yeah, I'll take Texas Tech against.
Yeah, put your money where your mouth is. Let's go.
Yeah, I'll take Texas Tech against Florida, and then, I mean, Florida could win, but I see Texas Tech beating St. John's if it got down to that at the end. And the other thing I'm going to throw out there real quick is, we can sit here and break down analytics and stats and how teams play and different players playing good, but it's all a feel thing. I mean, that's why this thing is so fun, because it's all feel. You don't know what's going to happen, and
madness, mayhem, baby.
Yeah, we'll replay this in about 3-4 weeks and laugh at ourselves. So.
Yeah, we'll all be wrong.
I feel like that's always what happens, especially when you're building a bracket. Seeing the way that other people decide to build their bracket as well. I know one time I know someone who's just, a bunch of us were just doing it for fun. And they just built it kind of like based off of location, or like how fun they thought the school was going to be. Yeah. They're the one who won the whole thing.
They end up doing it way better.
They had the best bracket. It's like the people who just don't really pay attention. You're like, I like the sound of that school better.
Yeah, they always do better.
Just something random like that, or like what sites they had, like the most just random thing you could come up with. And it's like, okay, the weather's better there. Like, I'm going to choose that one as the win. And then their bracket ends up being the one that does the best. So
the second we're calculated about it, it's over.
Yeah. And I'm going to point out my former Newhouse afternoon co-partner, Max Gifford. He always, and Jordan, our producer, knows this very well. Max makes a spreadsheet before every March Madness tournament. And this guy goes fully into the data. I don't know what his algorithm is or anything, but he'll dive into stuff, and he will have his bracket off of that. And I hate to tell him, but he hasn't had a perfect bracket yet, so something's wrong. But everyone's got their own thing. I go off a feel. I don't sit here too long and debate things. Max goes hours on end looking in depth at this stuff. So that's the whole fun of it.
Yeah. Well, we got Southwest. Should we quickly pick our winners out of the East? I mean, we got Duke, who have been playing really well without Cooper Flagg, and he's set to return for March Madness. So hard to pick against Duke with their star-studded lineup. Pretty much they have 4 guys who I feel like are going to get drafted. What do we think?
Yeah, Duke's done a great job this season. Also, in that Eastern bracket, you have Alabama, again, yet another SEC school who has done a great job this season. So I do in some ways think that, like, obviously the 1 and 2 seed, Duke and Bama, but kind of hope for some sort of upset in here somewhere, at least in 1 or 2 of the brackets. Have a random floater team hopping in.
St. Mary's run, that'd be electric.
Something along those lines. What do you think's gonna go down here in the East, Nico?
I'm taking Duke. It's that simple. I'm taking Duke.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm scrolling through here. I mean, I can pick individual games. Mississippi State, Baylor, toss-up. Not an Oregon guy, so I'll take Liberty there. I'll take Arizona, BYU, VCU. Never know. I'll take Wisconsin, St. Mary's, Vanderbilt. I don't know. And then again, Alabama. You look at Alabama. You look at Houston. Or I'm sorry, Houston's down the southeast. But Alabama, I could see Alabama going very far. And but I think this is obviously Duke's region to lose. And you just mentioned Cooper Flagg coming back. That'll be obviously a very fun watch during the tournament. But Alabama's going to stick with them, and we'll see what happens. I think Alabama makes it to the round of 8 with Duke, and should be a good game. But this is, in my opinion, this is also Duke's tournament to lose. So that's kind of my general pick right there.
Yeah, I mean, don't think I can bet against Duke in the East as well, but I don't know. I don't think it's nothing like we ever think. So they could easily get taken down at some point. And just finish it off here, Midwest region, we got Houston as the 1st seed, Gonzaga, Georgia, 8-9s, Clemson, McNeese, some good games. What do you think? Any hot takes, Cinderella stories, bold predictions, Alex?
Just going down this right now, I don't know. I don't have as much faith in, in comparison to other SEC schools. I don't have as much faith in Tennessee making it to that, Elite 8. I think they're going to get taken down at some point, whether it's, Illinois or Kentucky, UCLA. I think one of those teams is definitely going to take them down before getting to the 8. And then in terms of Houston,
Alex bashing on Tennessee already. Damn. Wow.
Yeah, Florida just took them down, so SEC tournament.
Yeah, and then
Little Gators.
Evan over here is really strong on the Florida. Wouldn't be surprised if. Do you have them going all the way?
I do.
Winning the whole turn. Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Who's your pick, Evan? You said Florida.
Florida, baby. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well.
What do they do? Do they do this?
Yeah.
Is that what the fans
Gator
do?
chomp.
The Gator.
I'm gonna chop that down in 2 weeks. I'm gonna replay this classic.
We'll see. Hey, March Madness will still be on our next show. So.
Yep. We'll still be going.
True.
Yeah.
I think.
All right, Nico. Who do you have to win it all? Who do you have to win it all? Let's hear it.
I think Florida's going to go far. They're not winning it all. I think the Midwest is the most interesting region because I could see Tennessee going far. I could see Kentucky going far. Purdue, Clemson can never roll them out. Gonzaga, of course, because of their reputation. And then Houston is a great team. So it's going to be I think that's going to be the most upsets there in the Midwest. In the championship game, though, I'm going to go Duke against Auburn. And I'm going to take Duke to win it all, barring a Cooper Flagg injury.
Yeah, one seed, best team versus best team.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too far off from that. I think it's going to end up being Auburn, Duke, but I'm taking Auburn for the win on this one.
Auburn. Well, I already said Florida. Florida, Duke, they will take down Cooper Flagg, regardless of whether he is in or out. And give me the Gators, baby. Come on. Well, that wraps up our. What'd you say?
Duke wins,
Final. Yeah, we'll see. 2 weeks. It should be around Elite 8 time by then, or it'll still be on.
Yeah,
at that point for sure.
We'll still be going.
For sure. Well, that wraps up our March Madness Mayhem talk. This is Newhouse Afternoon. Coming back, we'll be talking about back to Syracuse sports, Syracuse men's and women's lacrosse. A lot's happened in the last 2 weeks, and it's going to be fun. So I'm Evan Fay, Alex Pohl, Nico Horning. Thanks for watching. Stay with us.
The Sports Show with Cody.
Thank you.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Does our producer Jordan have any predictions?
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, no one really knows. No one knows anything. Yeah. Yeah. Ready to talk a little lacrosse? Get you back in the zone?
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Oh, Alex is hyped.
Yeah, I actually haven't played a club game since last spring. So,
Dang.
unfortunately, we lost. Well, no, we've been playing, but just so happens that anytime I've gotten positioned for studio shows, it's on the same day as my game days. So I have now skipped every game so far this season. And our biggest game is this weekend, but I have now been offered the spot as the analyst. So
let's go.
Yet again. Yeah. So going to be missing that one, which is unfortunate. Exactly. It is what it is. But definitely miss it. Still obviously practicing, but those game days are fun, especially like this weekend is going to be our biggest, our toughest opponent all season of Sacred Heart down in Connecticut. But those games are always fun. We wake up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, hop on one of those giant coach buses.
Nice.
Hang out, go down there, play a nice tournament.
Yeah.
Come back. Always like stop, get dinner as a team. It's a fun time, especially with those like away game, like the full day trips. But I'll be here for women's lacrosse Notre Dame. So.
Oh yeah. Doing some analyzing.
Oh yeah.
Let's go.
Alongside Adam Avon. I'm excited.
Nice.
Two of us are finally getting our show together. It'll be a good time. So.
Oh, that's right. Forgot about that.
Yep.
All right. So we have. Yeah, I mean the men's team's been off for a minute, but the team from down south tomorrow. Good way to put it.
Yeah, we were kicked out of the national rankings, and then we got back in after this last loss, but it's good. It's a little annoying that we started off at 2, now we're number 9 in the nation. But
Definitely a lot to unpack there.
that's what losing to an Ivy League team will do.
The Ivy League in lacrosse, though,
That's
is
true. That is true.
very strong, especially in comparison to the way that they are in other sports. It's
Yeah.
They don't want to play lacrosse.
Seven and 100.1. Watch live on QSportsTalk.com. Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Welcome back to Newhouse Afternoon. I'm Evan Fay, Alex Pohl, Nico Horning, and let's talk some Syracuse men's lacrosse. We started coming into the season number 2 in the nation, got kicked out after 2 losses the other week to the Ivy League team Harvard, a bunch of nerds, but now we're back in after beating Johns Hopkins and then pummeling Utah. 2 big wins. Now we're back at number 9 in the nation, sitting at 5-2. Alex, what do you think?
I mean, okay, so for the men's lacrosse team, they definitely obviously started off strong, had that tough loss versus Maryland, then Harvard, but, they're finally gaining their footing again. They needed that win over Hopkins. We had talked about before the Utah game was the last time we were talking how, you never thought you'd say like, oh, they need a Utah win, but they did. They obviously got it completely dominated against them, 15-5.
Yep.
They got so many players involved right from the start. In the first quarter, it was like 6-1. You already had Sam English, Owen Hiltz, Mike O'Leo, Josephine. All of them were up on the board right from the start. So, I think that after that back-to-back Maryland, Harvard ranked losses, they kind of recomposed themselves and were like, okay, we need to get it together, and they really showed out in that Utah game, and then going off against Johns Hopkins, being able to huge win. That's exactly what they needed this season against Hopkins, which is ranked number 7. So having that 13-10 win is exactly what they needed to keep going. The schedule gets slightly easier now from here. Tomorrow you have Manhattan. That should be easy win back in the in the dome yet again. You have ranked Colgate, which is definitely going to be a tougher opponent than Manhattan, but I don't think Syracuse is going to have a problem taking down Colgate, or at least in my mind, they shouldn't.
Yeah. What are they ranked at? They're nationally ranked.
It's like 20
15,
or 18.
20, yeah.
Like 18,
It's
20. So they're obviously a very solid team. We play them every year. Always give a good fight. But I definitely see Syracuse taking the win on that one. The next opponent that we're going to face, I think, is going to be a challenge. Is going to be, when you're getting to the Virginia game.
Schedule gets a little daunting down the line.
Oh, down the line, yeah. You go from Virginia, the Notre Dame, Cornell, and then Duke, UNC, and then straight into the ACC championships.
Yeah,
so
we can do it though.
It's very, loaded towards the end of the season, which could be a good thing for them or not. If they keep this winning streak going and they're, played great again, like I said, against Hopkins, great job. Take these 2 not easy wins, but easier wins against Manhattan and Colgate and just keep that momentum going. Use those games to, clean up anything that they need to, and then go from there and go off strong against Virginia, Notre Dame, Cornell, Duke, UNC. They're all winnable games, but they've really got to step it up for those ones.
Absolutely. And that John Hopkins win was just kind of a big, deep breath. It was like, all right, we haven't lost it. We can beat these really good nationally ranked teams. And I will want to say, we can give Joey Spallina his stripes, but I want to give some credit. I don't think there's been a single player on SU who's been more impactful on the field than Sam English, our first-line midfielder. He's been a menace on the wings, totaling 16 ground ball pickups. And why I just want to bring his name up, because he does the dirty work that does not show up in the stat lines. That's my favorite type of player in any sport. So shout out Sam English. Shout out to John Mullen, our face-off king. Owen Hiltz picking up 19 goals through 7 games. So it's just these guys surrounding Spallina are just proving that Despite being 5-2, the 2 losses, we're still number 9 in the nation. We can win this thing. We can win the tournament coming up in a month or two, and a lot to be excited about. Nico, any thoughts?
Yeah. Here's my thing. I think people have gotten a little bit soft on this team because you're supposed to win the national championship at the beginning of the year, or at least be in contention. And now this team is sitting with 10 teams above them. And I think people have become a little bit too content with where they're at right now. And I know it's tough to get out of that based on the opponents they've had. And, you have Manhattan tomorrow. But then after that, Alex brought it up that the schedule really starts to pick up. You have a Notre Dame, you got Duke, you have even Colgate's a ranked team. I know they're not very high, but you have some tough opponents. North Carolina later on, Cornell as always. I think that you want those tougher teams later on, because if you're going to make a move and if you're going to be relevant at all and have a chance at the end of the season, you can't keep being cute and brushing these guys off. When you want to play the best later on, you got to play them also in the regular season and beat them. We saw too many overtime losses last year. We saw too many close games where Syracuse couldn't get over the hump. We've seen one of those this year, but we've also seen a really good win over Johns Hopkins. So this team has shown that they can make it, but there's no more bad losses. You got to beat the good teams, and maybe you don't beat Duke and Notre Dame, but you can't have more than one loss, in my opinion, the rest of the way out if you want to be a really good contending team come the end of the season.
Yeah, I completely agree, especially when it comes not only to the ACC tournament, but NCAA tournament. If they want to make it there, they've got to make sure that they're taking care of it later on in the season. Having Notre Dame, Cornell, UNC, all those teams are ranked above Syracuse right now. Like Nico said, I'm not content with where they are sitting, but at the same time, I understand it in terms of who they've now played since and who they're going to be playing. You can't go from, being ranked number 10, beating, and then you beat Manhattan and Colgate. It's not really getting you up anywhere unless those teams above you are losing to other opponents. But if all the teams at top 10 keep winning, we're going to be sitting there. But that's why it's so important that you have to make sure that you're taking down all of these top opponents in the ACC, because in my opinion, they're the toughest conference in lacrosse.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we can get it. Those Notre Dame teams, like you said, we can't drop 2 games. We can't do that. We can't lose to Virginia and Notre Dame. But I remember last time we talked about how Jimmy McCool he got benched for Harvard, but he's really bounced back. So that is another reason to be hopeful, and another reason why I don't think we're going to lose 2 of those games. And I think we're going to be set up right where we want to be come tournament time. But
like you mentioned, one thing I'm worried about is if they do get to those overtime games.
Yeah.
We haven't seen one so far this season, which I think is a good thing for the Syracuse team, because like Nico said, it didn't go their way. Last season, they lost in overtime to Maryland, lost to Army in overtime, Cornell, and I believe there's one other, but definitely they lost to those 3. It just kept going. Every single time it went to OT, we lost. So I think that if it gets to that point against a team like UVA, North Carolina, Cornell, that's where it could get shaky for us. We did beat UNC and Virginia last year, but both were wins by 1 point. And then Cornell, obviously, we lost to them in overtime. So, and also lost to Notre Dame last year only by 2. So these have been very close matchups in previous years, and I think it's going to be the same way this year, but Syracuse has to make sure that they're on their A game going into those, which I think it's going to be nice for them. Honestly, tell me what you think. Is it better for them to have these lower ranked teams right now after the Hopkins win to kind of give them a little bit of a break and figure things out and then go into those tough opponents? Or would you have rather seen them go straight from a Hopkins win into a game like UNC or Cornell or Notre Dame? Do you think that this slight break in terms of like Manhattan and Colgate is going to help them or hurt them more?
I think hurt them personally. You have a really good win over Hopkins, and then you play Manhattan and Colgate, but it's like you needed a Notre Dame or you needed a Duke after Johns Hopkins, in my opinion, because you got to string some really tough competition games together, and I don't see this team exactly having that. But again, you have another opportunity where maybe you're sitting in that 8 to 10 range with 5 games to go, and you have a Notre Dame, you have Duke, you have North Carolina, you have some really good teams. If you beat 2 of the 3, you're in a really good spot going forward. So, I think the earlier the better of the good teams is best. But again, it could shape them up later on because their schedule just gets tougher.
Yeah, I think we could get momentum if we steamroll Manhattan Tuesday night and then Colgate. Like I said, I would agree with Nico that I wish we got a Duke or a Virginia right after that Johns Hopkins wins, but why not get it with 2 more wins with Manhattan and then Colgate? I think we could do it, but we're going to go to break. We're going to come back and finish off the show with women's lacrosse. A lot to unpack there as well. Thanks for listening. Newhouse Afternoon. Evan Fay, Alex Pohl, Nico Horning. Stay with us.
Hey, this is former Syracuse.
Thank you.
Yeah, right. Women's lax to finish it off. How does it sound?
That's fine with me. Nico, is that good with you?
It's good with me.
We'll throw in some professional.
Yeah, we can throw in some NBA. We're not going to have too much time, but
yeah, we only have a few minutes. You can stick with the women's teams. It's all good with me.
Yeah.
All right.
Don't worry. I'm just messing.
Women's team.
Hey, if you're angry already, we don't have to talk about it.
5-4. No.
There's a lot to talk about.
There is a lot to talk about. There is.
There is
5-4. That's. But that Stanford win
5-4
was.
stuff.
Thankfully, they had that win over Stanford. So.
How are we 5-4? We're still 8th in the nation. That's pretty. Is that being nice or?
I mean,
it's
we
been,
lost.
it was been hard.
The teams that we lost to were, UNC number 2, Northwestern number 3.
Yeah, it's true.
And then they had the Clemson loss, which was just.
It's just a lot of losses.
Oh gosh, yeah. That one was just. And then Hopkins,
Yeah, we just won though. What was it, Saturday? Syracuse won, yeah.
Friday. But then we lost to Hopkins on Monday. So. But all the teams that we've been losing to are basically in the top 10, except for Clemson. So that's, or the 2 and 3 seed. So that's basically why we're still sitting where we are.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see going forward. This is going to be a tough year. I mean, it already is a tough year, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I know, tough year across the board for Syracuse.
Oh yeah.
Every sport. No, just kidding. Most sports.
Softball's doing
sport.
well.
I know. Softball.
Yeah. Guys, that's the thing is what was it, like 3 years ago or something like that? It was like 3 years ago. Rowing was great. Or like last year, women's rowing. We're the ACC champions. No one knew.
That is crazy.
Right? Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Yeah,
I didn't know either.
I saw like they had like the rings, everything.
This
And I
is
was
news.
like, wow. I was like, some people had no idea. Exactly. Imagine like the basketball team won the ACC championship.
No, it's true. And this
It's a
is
tough year for Syracuse. It's a tough year for like the revenue sports, but
Yeah.
hey.
Yes.
I mean, the other ones.
There's nothing against rowing, but they say you learn something new every day, and I just learned that they were the champions last year, so I should probably know that. But.
Shout out to our rowers, the national champions.
Yeah.
Wow.
But no, I mean, seriously, softball's got a good opportunity coming up to keep it going. You got Clemson this weekend. You got Niagara on Wednesday, and I mean, volleyball even had a great. They obviously fell off.
Start.
Did not end up being good, but they had a good start. And that ACC those ACC teams are just extremely good. I mean, 2 of them are the best in the country, so that doesn't help. But we'll see what happens with softball. I mean, they played Georgia well, a ranked team. They beat Duke once, so we'll see. How's tennis doing, by the way? Hey, it's a sport.
That's a good question.
Yeah, we're not going to have too much time. It's okay.
8-5. Okay.
Oh, wow.
1-5 in conference. So similar issues.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, when the rowing team won, it was their first time in program history of winning the ACC.
Yeah, we should have known that.
ESPN Syracuse sports talk shows on QSportsTalk.com. Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Welcome back to our final segment of the hour segment of Newhouse Afternoon. I'm Evan Fay with Alex Pohl, Nico Horning, and we're just going to finish it off, talk about women's lacrosse. We're now 5-4, number 8 in the nation. Alex, 4 losses. It's a lot to start the season. 2-2 in the ACC. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's really tough starting the season out. To be 5-4, you got to give them a little bit of leeway with some of their losses being against UNC and Northwestern, who are ranked number 2 and number 3 in the nation. So it's not like you're losing to any lower teams except for Clemson, who's ranked number 14. But overall, I think that they at least should have had, at minimum, the win over Hopkins, where they lost in overtime on just a week ago. They should have had the win over Clemson 100%. That game was just turnover after turnover after turnover. Yeah. It was one of the toughest games that I've honestly had to watch for this team. I think that it does have to come to the point of they lost Olivia Adamson, so she's no longer playing this season. And you see the huge impact that has on the program, because that's right when they started losing, when they lost to UNC, lost to Northwestern, lost to Clemson. They found their footing versus Stanford. That was an amazing win. You had Coco Vandiver, who did a phenomenal job on defense. And so if they're able to stay strong going into Pitt, Loyola, and then Notre Dame, I could see them picking it up, but it's a tough schedule that they have up ahead.
Is it tough? It was a nice bounce back against Pitt. 10 different goal scorers, and 11 players tallying points. So hopefully we can ride that momentum to beat Loyola tomorrow. Should be a pretty easy win for us. But unfortunately, that is all the time we have. Thank you for listening. This hour of Newhouse Afternoon. We'll be back in 2 weeks. And I'm Evan Fay. Alex Pohl, Nico Horning over Zoom. I'm glad we got him. Let's have a good week.
The Sports Show with Coach